If you're broke, no one cares how good your heart is. This world listens to results, not excuses. That's your wake-up call. You've been told your whole life that being a good person is enough. Be nice. Be respectful, be kind, and one day everything will just fall into your lap. Right, wrong. This world isn't soft. This world doesn't care. It doesn't care how much potential you have. It doesn't care if you had a tough childhood. It doesn't care how loyal you are to your girl. It only rewards the man who wins. And in this game, this brutal, competitive, ruthless game called life, money is your scoreboard. Money isn't just paper. It's not evil. It's not just a tool. Money is respect. Money is access. Money is influence. Money is power. If you don't have it, you're invisible. If you don't have it, you're replaceable. If you don't have it, you're dependent on your boss, on your girlfriend, on luck, on hope. And that makes you weak. Let me ask you something. You think you're going to keep her loyal with love. You think a woman wants to struggle with you. You think she's going to sit there clapping while you figure it out. No, she won't. Because the second she sees you can't protect her financially, mentally, physically, she'll start looking for someone who can. That's not cruelty. That's biology. Women are attracted to strength, and money is one of the loudest forms of strength. You want to know why she ignores your texts, but gives him her full attention because he's got value, he's got presence, he's got cash, and with cash comes power. Power over his environment, power over his schedule, power over his choices, and that's what women want: a man in control. Not a guy who complains, not a guy who's trying, not a guy who has potential, a guy who executes, a guy who wins. You've got these young men today scrolling TikTok, playing games, broke as hell, and then crying about why they're lonely. Bro, you don't deserve a queen when you're still acting like a peasant. You haven't earned her attention. What did you do today to make yourself more valuable? Did you work on your body? Did you learn a skill that makes money? Did you raid, hustle, build? No, then shut up. Because someone else did, and that guy, he's the one she's texting back. He's the one she's smiling for. He's the one she's telling her friends about, not because he's good looking, not because he's charming, but because he's dangerous in the right way. He's not out here chasing women. He's chasing purpose. He's building. He's obsessed with becoming untouchable, and that obsession, that intensity, it's magnetic. Women say, I want a confident man. They're lying. They want a powerful man, and power doesn't come from affirmations or pep talks. Power comes from options. And options come from money. You think it's about love. Love is conditional. You think it's about loyalty. Loyalty only exists when respect is present, and there's no respect without results. Listen, if you have no money, no ambition, no goals, no drive, you're not humble. You're harmless. And harmless men don't win. They survive. They get leftovers. They sit quietly while other men run the show. You were not born to sit quietly. You were born to conquer, dominate, lead. You want her respect. Build a life so powerful she has no choice but to admire you. Be the man who walks into a room and changes the energy. Be the man who doesn't talk about dreams, he lives them. Be the man who can provide, not just emotionally, but in every damn way. Because here's what happens when you have money. You don't chase women, they come to you. You don't fear rejection, you know you have options. You don't beg, you decide. You don't argue, you replace. That's real power, and women feel it deeply. You think she can't tell the difference between a man who's focused and one who's faking it. She knows. She senses it in your body language, your tone, your habits. She knows who's rising and who's rotting, and here's the painful part: she may like you, but she won't respect you until you level up, and without respect, there is no love worth having. Let me tell you about struggle. You think struggle makes you noble. No, struggle without progress is just weakness. If you're struggling, get out, work more, learn more, risk more, because if you're not building, you're dying, and while you're dying slowly, another man is taking your spot. Your girl's attention, he's earning it. Your dream job, he's hustling for it. Your place in the world, he's grinding when you're sleeping, and what are you doing? Scrolling, complaining, waiting for something to change. Nothing changes until you change. Money is not about greed, it's about freedom. You know what freedom feels like: waking up when you want, saying no without apology, walking away from disrespect, traveling where you want when you want, supporting your family without stress, having control over your environment, your diet, your body, your woman, your life. That's the reward. That's what money brings, but it doesn't come easy. It comes through obsession, through sacrifice, through becoming so dangerous that life has no choice but to move for you. So stop being cute. Stop trying to be the nice guy who finishes last. Stop thinking loyalty alone is enough. Be the storm, be the provider, be the king. Because when you hold the gold, you make the rules. And every room you walk into, every woman you meet, every opportunity that shows up, you get to decide. That's the difference. That's why money matters. That's why power matters. And if you don't get that by now, you'll live the rest of your life taking orders from men who did. We talked about how money is the gateway to power and how women, respect, and opportunities follow those who control it. But that's only half the equation. You might be sitting there thinking, okay, I get it. Money matters, but how do I get there? How do I actually change my life? A great question. The first step is simple, but difficult to execute. You must change your mindset. You can't keep thinking like a broke man and expect to live like a rich one. You can't keep operating like a loser and expect to win. You can't keep settling for comfort and hope to conquer. You need a new mindset. And that mindset is built on one core principle: obsession. I'm not talking about a passing thought here and there. I'm talking about the kind of obsession where you wake up at 5 a.m. and the first thing on your mind is your empire. The kind of obsession that drives you to push past your limits even when everyone else is sleeping. The kind of obsession that tells you to keep going when everyone else is tired. Because guess what? The successful guys, the ones who make real money, they're never tired. They never stop. They understand that time is the most valuable resource they have, and they're not about to waste a single second. You need that obsession, but here's the thing: obsession without direction is useless. You must direct your obsession toward building wealth, and building wealth is not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. Now let's break it down. You have to build assets, and assets are things that make you money passively or actively. Assets are businesses, investments, real estate, and systems that work for you even when you're not working. But here's the catch: you can't get there by following the masses. You have to think differently. You have to stand out. Look at the average man. He wakes up at 9 a.m., goes to a job he hates, works for someone else, comes home exhausted, and repeats. And he's stuck in that cycle forever. Why? Because he's not willing to risk. He's not willing to disrupt the norm. He's comfortable in mediocrity. But you're different. You're not afraid of risk. You're not afraid to fail. Failure isn't a setback, it's a lesson. If you're not failing, you're not pushing hard enough. If you're not stumbling, you're not learning. And if you're not questioning everything, you're not thinking critically enough. I know this sounds harsh, but this is the reality comfort kills. Comfort is the slow killer that lulls you into complacency. Comfort is what keeps you stuck in your current life. Comfort is what makes you average. And being average, that's a death sentence. You want to become exceptional, then you need to make discomfort your best friend. You need to seek discomfort in the form of risk, failure, hustle, and challenges. You need to be so obsessed with success that you're willing to sacrifice your weekends, your comfort zone, and even your friends who don't get it. Because guess what? The people who tell you to slow down are the same ones who will never make it. They're stuck in their little bubbles of mediocrity, and they're too scared to step out. But you're going to rise above them. You're going to run faster, work harder, and be smarter. You're going to learn everything there is to know about making money. Here's what you need to master: sales, marketing, investing, negotiation, mindset. Let me be clear. Sales is the most important skill in the world. Everything you do revolves around sales. If you're good at sales, you can sell anything: your ideas, your product, your services, your value. If you're bad at sales, you're irrelevant. Think about this. If you can't sell, you're going to be stuck working for someone else. You'll never be in charge of your time, your future, or your destiny. Selling is freedom, and it's not just about selling a product. It's about selling yourself, your value, your worth, the way you walk into a room and immediately make people see the greatness within you. That's why you need to invest in yourself first. Get the best coaches, get the best mentors, read the best books, build a hyper-forming mind, make sure you are learning every single day. Your mind is your most valuable asset. You build wealth with your mind first, and then it manifests in your bank account. Now, don't get me wrong, money isn't everything, but without it, you're powerless. Wealth gives you freedom, and freedom is power. You know why the successful man never looks stressed? Because he has options. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He can move, he can act. He can protect his family, he can take risks that pay off because he has the freedom to do so. And here's the thing about freedom, once you've tasted it, you'll never go back. This is why you can't be afraid to start. You can't sit around waiting for the perfect opportunity because it doesn't exist. You just have to take the leap. Stop waiting for someone to give you a chance. Stop waiting for permission. Create your own chance. The truth is, you can't afford to be average anymore. Average men get average results. They make average money, they have average lives, and I know you're not here for an average life. You want greatness, you want freedom, you want power, and you're going to get it. But it's going to take effort. It's going to take discipline, it's going to take courage, and most importantly, it's going to take money. You want to be the man who commands attention when he walks in the room, then you better get to work. You want to be the man who makes women look at you with desire and admiration, then you better start hustling. You want to be the man who doesn't beg for respect but earns it, then you better start mastering the art of wealth creation. Because you can sit there and complain about how the world is unfair, or you can build your empire and watch it all change in your favor. Now is the time to act. Because if you're not taking action, someone else is. And you know what happens to the guy who doesn't act, right? He becomes irrelevant. He becomes a background character in someone else's story. So what are you waiting for? Make your move. We've spent the last 2 parts talking about money and mindset. We've talked about how to control the game, how to win the game, and how to make sure that the world recognizes your value. But there's one thing left. One thing that will ultimately define who you become in this world. Your legacy. Look, you can make all the money in the world, but if you don't do anything meaningful with it, you've wasted it. You can have the fastest cars, the best clothes, the most beautiful women, but if that's all you have, then you're living in a fantasy. The real question is, what are you going to do with all this power? Money is just a tool, but power is your true weapon, and with power comes responsibility. You're not here just to consume. You're not here just to live a comfortable life and then disappear without leaving a mark. You're here to make an impact. When you look at the world's most influential men, whether it's the likes of Andrew Carnegie, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or even the titans of the past, do you know what they have in common? They built empires not just for their own enjoyment, but for the generations that followed them. They created wealth not only to be comfortable, but to change the world, and that's the next step for you. You have to think bigger. You have to think legacy. You have to think empire. You're not just here to build a business. You're here to build a dynasty, and that starts with how you carry yourself. You have to start thinking like a king, and that's not about arrogance. It's about understanding that you're here to create something bigger than yourself. The best part of success is not the wealth. The best part is the impact you leave on the world, on your family, and on future generations. You need to create a legacy where people look back at your life and say, "That man changed the game." But that only happens when you stop being reactionary and start being visionary. When you stop chasing the next distraction and start focusing on building the future you want to see. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of work. I know it sounds overwhelming, but let me remind you of something. You've already started the journey. You've already taken the first step. You've already committed to being better than the average man. And that's the most important step. The first step is the hardest. From here, it's just about building momentum. Here's the truth: the world is hungry for men who can lead, men who can build, men who can make something happen. And guess what? There's space for you. There's space for someone like you to step up and take control, but that space won't last forever. If you don't take action now, someone else will. The world doesn't care how much you want it. It doesn't care how hard you work. It doesn't care about your excuses. It only cares about results. So ask yourself, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of world do you want to build for your children, your family, and your community? Are you going to be another man who lived and died without leaving anything significant behind? Or will you be the man who changed everything? You have the potential to be great. You have the power to transform your life. And you have the ability to create a future where you call the shots not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. But it all starts now. It starts with deciding that today is the day you take full control of your life. It starts with taking responsibility for your actions, your choices, and your results. You're not a victim. You're not helpless. You're not waiting for someone else to give you permission to win. You create your own path. And that path, it leads straight to the top. It leads straight to a life of wealth, freedom, respect, and yes, the right women. But most importantly, it leads to legacy. Because at the end of the day, what are you really living for? It's not the money. It's not the cars or the fame. It's what you leave behind, the impact you have on others, and the empire you build that continues long after you're gone. So ask yourself, what's your purpose? What's your mission? What are you going to do with all this power you're about to wield? Here's the deal. This is not just about winning. This is about changing the world, and the men who change the world don't just work hard. They work smart. They are obsessed with their goals, and they refuse to settle. Now, look around you. Do you want to be like everyone else? Do you want to be another face in the crowd, another statistic, another guy who lived and died unnoticed? Or do you want to be the man who rises above the chaos? Do you want to be the man who everyone looks at and says, that's a leader, that's a king, that's someone who changed everything? It's time to make that choice. It's time to decide that you are going to build your legacy. You're going to build your empire. And the moment you choose that path, when you decide that the game is yours, everything else will follow. And remember this, when you control the money, you control the game. And when you control the game, the women follow. But most importantly, you become the man who shapes his destiny. You become the man who isn't just living life, you're making life bend to your will. And that's power. So get up, get moving, make today the day you take over.